Football season is back, and for some of us, it might feel like a foreign language, which is why I'm bringing in my colleagues. We have DSN Sports Director Kayla Santiago and former coach Mike Fredrick. How are you doing today, guys?
Good, thank you.
Of course, we are currently at the Indian River High School football field, and we're here to talk football. Think of this as your crash course, guys, your 101 football knowledge, everything you need to know. So let's start with the basics. First, how big is a football field, and what does it mean, the 50-yard line?
So every football field has the same dimensions, and it's 100 yards long. It does not count the end zones. So you'll see the yardage markers, and there should be a 10-yard line, a 20-yard line, a 30, a 40, a 50. And the 50 is just the center of that 100 yards.
That actually makes a lot of sense. And visually, I'm kind of gathering what's going on more here. So I'm seeing there's also little dashes along the football field. So what are these little white lines? Are they more so for the players, or is it for the people watching?
So they call them hash marks, and it basically divides the field into thirds.
Okay.
So part of it is for where they can place the football after every play. They don't want to have to run it back to the middle of the field. They don't want to leave it all the way out near somebody's sideline if the ball were to end the play there.
Yes.
So they try to always have a uniform place where they can reset the ball for the next play. And it divides the field a third from each sideline at about 17 2/3 yards. And then from hash mark to hash mark is another 17 2/3 yards.
That makes a lot. So it's basically like a ruler then, basically, a giant ruler. Yeah. So then what's the end zone's job then, and why do players always seem to celebrate once they reach that point?
Yeah, so an end zone, your goal clearly as a team is to get there for what we call a touchdown. The touchdown is 6 points, and your goal at the end of the game is to score more points than your opponent. Everything all said and done, coaching-wise, you want to have a higher score than your opponent. So if you get it into the end zone, it is worth 6 points for a touchdown, whether you run it in, whether you pass it in, whether you get a reception.
After a touchdown, teams can go for an extra point or a 2-point conversion to add to their score.
For what most people see when you look at TV, for any, Taylor Swift fans out there, on the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback. He's kind of the center of your offense. He's going to move you down the field, but there's a lot of other pieces like your offensive line, your defensive line, your linebackers. I'll let you go more in depth of that from the offensive and defensive side, because he'll be able to explain it better than me.
Yeah, even what is the difference between offense and defense?
If we talk about the offensive line, it's your bigger, stronger players who line up close to the football, and their primary job is to block. They're going to get out there and try to move people around and open holes for the running backs and some of the skilled player positions who are not in that particular group. And the skilled positions are quarterback and running back. They're the ones that are handed the ball, and then they try to find openings to get that ball, to progress it towards the end zone. The wider you get away from the football, you have wide receivers. And typically their job, the quarterback will look to them to be able to throw the ball as opposed to running it forward. They want to pass it usually forward. So again, try to move the ball towards the end line. They tend to be people that are faster, have really good hands, very difficult to cover. And so, each one of those pieces works a little differently.
On defense, it's the opposite. Their job is to stop the offense from reaching the end zone.
The defensive line, which is a group of people whose job it is to take on blocks from those bigger players and be able to get off those blocks and tackle, bringing the ball carrier to the ground, whether it's a quarterback, a running back, or a wide receiver. They want to get them down as quickly as possible and truthfully as violently as possible.
Yeah.
Without incurring injury, but they want to bring them down and try to separate that runner from the football.
Put it together, and you've got a detailed puzzle of roles working toward one goal: points on the board.
So next, I do want to get into possessions and downs. So the whole first down, second down, third down thing. Can you explain that? Teach it to me like I'm 5, seriously.
Yeah, so when you look at downs, you have 4 downs for each play. When you have the set of downs, you're on the offensive side of the ball. So you usually you always have 10 yards when you first start your set of downs. Penalties can back that up a little bit. Runs can bring that forward. If you are deep in your own zone, so if you're at your own 20, your own 30, you usually would opt to only go 3 sets of downs, because what happens on that 4th down, if you don't get it past that down marker, you turn the ball over to the other team. So you essentially have 4 downs in theory, but depending where you're at on the field, you might only want 3 downs and then punt it away on the 4th down. So you essentially have 4 tries to get the ball past that down marker.
Yes.
And where you start that first down depends on where you receive it on the kickoff or the punt.
Each time a team gains those 10 yards, they earn a new set of downs and keep pushing toward the goal line.
So if people at home see like a yellow line on the field sometimes when they're watching football, that's what that means. You don't see that in person though. A lot of people like kind of mix that up. You don't see that in person. So say you gain 5 yards on first down, then after that it would go to second down. But then it would be 2nd and 5.
So next time you see that yellow line on your screen, you'll know that's the distance the offense has to cover before resetting. Once you catch onto the field, the positions, and the downs, the game starts to click.
You want the arrows, you want to get to a point where the arrows are pointing that way on the field.
Okay.
So if you were watching, look for that a little bit. Once you get to that 50-yard line, you don't want to go backwards. You want to go forward.
That makes
Which means you're going into your opponent's territory. So
Yes.
if arrows are pointing towards you, you're going into your own territory. You want to try to get out of that and go into your own territory.
Okay. That does make a lot of sense.
I usually don't look at the arrows just because, we broadcast football, but when you're looking at it from somebody that just kind of has like a naked eye to it that hasn't seen it, that might be a little bit of a tip to help you out.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I mean, you guys have been a big help already, but CoastLife, I feel like I'm already kind of getting the basics down a little bit, but don't go anywhere because we're going to be diving a little bit deeper into the game. Kayla and Mike aren't going anywhere. They're going to be right here to tell us a little bit more about football in the second half. So don't go anywhere because there's more CoastLife on the way. CoastLife, we are still here at the Indian River High School football field. I'm still here with Kayla Santiago and Mike Fredrick, both the pros, telling us everything that we need to know on Football 101. So guys, we were just talking about possessions and downs. Now I kind of want to get into moving the ball a little bit. Let's get into the action of the game, of course. So how do teams decide when to run versus when to pass?
Now you've moved into the strategy.
Yeah.
And how you play the game. A lot of times a team's going to have an identity, and they're going to be better at running or passing the football. In a perfect world, you'd like to be very balanced, be able to do either one, because that would keep the defense from being able to guess what you're going to do, because they'll call things to stop they think is coming.
Basically, if you're too predictable, you're in trouble. Defenses can read you like a book, but if you keep them guessing, you open the door for what coaches call chunk plays.
You really want to try to find ways to set up explosive plays, and you can do it with the run or the pass.
Those are the highlight reel moments, the ones that make fans jump out of their seats and the coach's heart stop, even just for a second. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. All that flashy stuff doesn't happen without some old-fashioned teamwork.
I want to go back to the team that coach was talking about. When you look at quarterbacks like Jamison Tingle, who was with Cape Henlopen High School. He's a junior now this year. He has a great arm. He's a really talented quarterback, but he can only do as much as his line allows. So if his offensive line, we were talking about those bigger guys, those guys in the trenches, if they don't block and the defenders get around them, Tingle's going to get tackled whether he has a great arm or not.
Yeah.
So that's the teamwork that it puts in there. But your line, it also matters for a run because they need to create those holes so that your running back can get through.
Yeah, no pressure, right? Every player has a job to do, and if just one person slips up, the whole play can fall apart. So I asked Coach how much of football is actually physical and how much is mental.
So this happens during the week prior to the game usually, and then it is going to, based upon what you see the other team do. Kayla mentioned, take what the defense gives you. During the week, you're going to figure out that if you line up and you have 4 receivers on the field, that they're going to align to that in a certain way. And based upon how they align, there's certain things you're going to want to do. You may want to run the ball because they're moving more people away from the line of scrimmage and getting them out on the perimeter of the field, which means what we would call the numbers around the big players is light, aren't as many people in there to block. So we might want to run it, spread them out and run it. It could also happen where you go to spread them out and they decide they're going to play you in a coverage like we would call man-to-man, where their person's going to lock on your person and you think your people are just physically better.
Yeah.
That's what you want to have happen. So if we're going to cover you that way, we're going to spread them out to throw the ball. So it really is in what the defense gives you.
So it's basically like a giant game of chess, but everyone's wearing helmets and hitting each other. I can work with that. And if you've ever wondered why a game can turn around in just one play, that's where special teams come in.
So special teams is one of the most important parts of the game that I think a lot of people overlook when they watch it. Special teams also is a field goal, kicker, an extra point. So when you're in the end zone, you get 6 points. And usually what most teams do is to get to that 7, you have to kick it through the goalposts, which is called a PAT. So that's part of the special teams as well. So there's a lot of entities of special teams. Special plays are a little different. Usually save that for the offense if, you're trying to have a hook and ladder type play, or if you have somebody that can line up at quarterback and have your QD line up as receiver, things like that. Special teams is what we call like the third entity of the game, but it's just as important as offense and defense too.
Field goals, punts, kickoffs, that's all special teams. And according to Coach, they're way more important than people realize.
So kickers and all special teams plays account for almost a third of all the plays that happen.
Wow.
Unestimated. So they're very valuable, and we want to consider them to be their own special unit.
Yeah.
So you think about at home, offensive plays, defensive plays, and then special teams plays.
So next time you see that kicker walk out onto the field, just know he might be about to win or lose the whole game. And of course, we can't talk football without mentioning the ultimate last-second move, the Hail Mary.
The objective there is there's probably one play left in the game. You have to advance the ball to your goal line and score. If you don't, you're going to lose the game. And usually it entails a long pass, and you're throwing it up for grabs. And the hope is that one of your people can get a ricochet, or they can go up and get the ball, and they're going to be in a pack of players because everybody knows where the ball's going to be going, because you don't really have another option of how
That sounds so nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
and it has worked, but it's rare, and that's why you need the miracle.
Yeah.
If you saw it every day, it'd be an everyday miracle. It becomes a natural occurrence.
So basically, you cross your fingers, say a prayer, and hope your receivers got hands of gold. Got it. And there you have it. Football is more than just touchdowns and tackles. It's strategy, teamwork, and a little bit of magic when everything comes together.
Guys, I've honestly had so much fun today. I've genuinely learned so much about everything I need to know football related. So Kayla, Mike, thank you guys so much for coming on and sharing this knowledge with us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. So whether you're here for the snacks or the plays and you're really invested in the game, now you can watch like you've been cheering them on all season, but you can also cheer on CoastLife because there's more on the way.